Hello everyone, this is your host, Gemma Putty, bringing health and wellness conversations from North Idaho and across this region. I'm so excited to chat with entrepreneurs, creatives, and believers as we journey together to connect more deeply to ourselves, our earth, and our communities. Cheers to shining bright and supporting local. Good morning, everyone. This is your host, Gemma Putty. For interview number 6, I am talking with Katie and Eric, also known as the Fish Folk. As a locally owned and operated mobile seafood business, they pride themselves in providing outstanding customer service and superior quality fresh and frozen seafood. They set sail each week and drop anchor in both Coeur d'Alene and Moscow to provide their customers a truly amazing outdoor seafood experience. So I have always loved seafood. I've even eaten seafood when I was eating no other meat. And all of my seafood experiences, from being in vacation in Spain and them having sardines grilled outdoors, to being in Florida and visiting my parents and having Crabby Bills, where there's all sorts, an array of seafood. And then moving to Idaho, being inland, I was so shocked and surprised to find the Fish Folk who bring such a similar experience. So Katie and Eric, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It's our pleasure. Thank you so much for having us today, Gemma.
Yeah, absolutely. Our pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Well, and I think, like I mentioned, I just want to dive in and talk about your story to start with. So you're 4th generation fishmongers, right? So I'm going to let one of you dive in and just tell your story to how you got to being here and doing Moscow and Coeur d'Alene.
Awesome. Do you want to start, honey?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've been blessed. We were came into the Fish Folks in a kind of a unique way. A really close family friend of ours, Dale Young and Victoria Dickinson, they had the Fish Folks prior to us for about the last 20 years. We got to know them as neighbors, actually. And Dale and I had a really close relationship right off the bat. Both of us, my first job out of high school was fishing in Alaska. And so Dale was an old dangerous catch fisherman for years. And so we had a lot in common. And actually one day he hollered over the fence at me and he said, "Hey, you want a job?" And so I basically started helping Dale with the Fish Folks before we owned the Fish Folks, actually, for about 10 years.
Okay.
I used to help Dale go select all the seafood, get everything ready, clean the trailer on the weekends, do all those types of things. So I was able to kind of use my experience from Alaska and helping him with the business on that end. And so that's kind of how we really initially got started with the business. Katie and I have always had a big passion for seafood and obviously loved eating seafood.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the way we initially got into the role of the Fish Folks over many years, but we've been involved with the business for almost 15 years now in one way, shape, or form. So,
and we are the 4th owners of the business, and we just have, like Eric said, we've been so blessed with that ability to have knowledge before us and carry on that tradition of really bringing in the best of the best for our customers. So we are so grateful for that.
Yeah. And now you used to just go to, the Fish Folk used to just go to Moscow, right? And then, is that right? And then you started a Coeur d'Alene drop off, or I guess your Thursdays at Rungee's. Is that right?
Well,
and actually the business has been around in Moscow, like you were saying, for 50 years in Moscow, and then about 25 in Coeur d'Alene. And prior to us having the business, Dale and Victoria did have other locations kind of throughout the week. But with our supply chain and making sure we're bringing in everything like extremely fresh, we really find that Thursdays in Coeur d'Alene and Friday in Moscow, where we sell out there. And then we start over fresh every single week. So there's no carryover or leftovers other than what we eat as a family and recipe test. So,
so some week it's like fish for every meal.
Well, we eat fish generally 4 to 5 nights a week, just because of that's what we do. And the health benefits of eating fish. We have very busy lifestyles, so it fuels us and powers us throughout the week.
I love that. That's a great segue, because I really am interested in, you're a teacher, Kate, you're both teachers. What is the process of you selecting the fish, getting the fish, and how do you keep it all in balance? Because as I keep telling you, I'm like, you're some of the nicest people that I know, and you're obviously are keeping yourself powered and balanced to be able to keep enjoying doing all that you do.
Thank you. Well, Eric, as our chief fishmonger, we like to call him. So he is really the expert on working with our supply chain and all the fishermen, and in constant communication with them throughout the week. So I'm going to turn it over to him to talk a little bit more about, all those interactions and bringing in our quality seafood.
It's really an evolving business all the time. The seafood industry is things change constantly. The biggest part, we call it around, is usually depending on the week, and a lot of it for us with our lifestyle and with having a little one and balancing the teaching and some other business ventures and things that we're involved in. I think a lot of it's teamwork. I mean, big props to Katie. Call her at headquarters. She's really good about keeping us all organized and and check on that side, which is really, really helpful, because I obviously couldn't do anything like this without her. She's amazing. The way it works generally weekly is that we kind of put together wish lists, basically on seasonality, those types of things, summer demand. We're trying to make sure I work with multiple distributors and for various products as well. I've learned over the years, certain purveyors are better with, the salmons and the halibuts and the real main staple type seafoods. And then I work with others for my exotics, so the ahi tunas and the swordfish and the mahi-mahis and the opas and all those types of seafoods. And then the same thing with shellfish. We've got some individual shellfish farmers that we work with week to week as well. So we start the week generally starting to put together our lists and what we're looking for. And I'm constantly, all throughout the week working with those guys on the coast and the different distributors, trying to make sure that, they're kind of my eyes and ears on certain things as well. And this supply chain, like Katie was mentioning, this has been around for 50 years. We're very fortunate coming into this business, when we bought the business from Dale and Victoria, that this had been in place for so long, and taking it over from somebody who had that much knowledge of seafood. Dale's brother owned one of the largest halibut fishing lines in Alaska, and, we're able to use all of that information. And then my previous experience working on boats and working in processing plants in Alaska, as far as determine quality wise on seafood, because that's, what we're really about, just being a niche business. And the fact that we always want the best. We'll always guarantee the best, and we'll never ask a question if somebody ever came to us and said, oh, we are not the types of people to try to say that we want everybody always to have the best experience with seafood possible. That's what our goal is. And so when we work with these folks weekly, we're talking about not only the actual seasonality of the seafood, but we're interested in where it's caught, when it's caught, a lot of times even how it's caught. There's a difference between a wild king salmon and a wild troll caught king salmon. There's a lot of little intricacies as far as the actual seafood itself. Also, trying to always come up with finding new options and new, especially on the sustainability side. The United States is really known for, we have, those staple seafoods. And if we can create an environment where we have more options for people, that is not only helpful for our customers to be able to try these new things and have new selections and new recipes and all those types of things, but also for the planet and environmentally, because then we're put in a position to where some of these other seafoods are now being eaten more often. And so some of those staples are being a little bit more,
like sustained
then, so that we can actually provide a greater balance of that. And that's, I think, a big part for us is that every week, seafood wise, the amount of different types of selections and things we do, and comparatively, sometimes even more than like a Pike Place market, like to try new things and to open people's eyes to new ideas and new possibilities and things like that too. And like I said, a lot of that's for us as a driver is just this sustainability part of that, because educating people, which Katie and I are both educators, that's, I think, a passion of ours. We like to kind of bring the passions of both are what we do together, I guess, in that sense, if that makes
No,
sense.
that's perfect. Because I have so many questions though, because I mean, as someone on the buying side, I mean, I'm looking, there's like you mentioned, there's the wild, there's farmed, frozen types of the way it's caught. So,
Right.
I mean, we could talk about this probably all day long, but what would you say for someone that is trying to just advocate for their own health, for the planet? What kind of questions should we, if they don't get the opportunity to come to you, what kind of questions should we be asking our fishmonger or looking on fish in general? Is all farmed something we should avoid, or I'll kind of let you take the lead there.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
and to start, as far as questions go, really thinking about asking about dates when the fish is caught, especially like shellfish, for example, harvest dates on those shellfish. We pride ourselves in bringing in within 2 days of harvest. They're in our coolers and ready to our customers. So definitely that quality piece, the freshness piece, and then a lot too of how you're preparing it and who you're preparing it for. I go a lot on with those nutrition facts. Like, let's say you're feeling a little run down, eat 3 oysters, and the health benefits of oysters are going to bring you back up. And they have iron, vitamin D, it's amazing, feel good, magnesium, and those harvest dates and freshness. That is huge. So, and Eric, I'll let you maybe talk too about the farm.
Yeah,
it's really important.
I think in the seafood industry, it's very rampant. I mean, you can obviously read many articles regarding the way that unfortunately seafood is outlets and those types of things. Probably the 2 largest ones I'd say are people who are advertising fresh seafood, when a lot of times that fresh seafood is actually refreshed seafood. For us in the industry and seeing, that from other retail outlets, a lot of times people will advertise, I've seen fresh halibut advertised in the middle of January. There's no fishing for halibut in January.
Not halibut season.
It's not halibut season. So it's technically refreshed. And the problems therein lie is that people go home and try to freeze that fish and then eat it. That causes major issues. The other one is, of course, the farmed versus wild. That's another one that you will see quite often as far as, you go out to dinner and eat trout, that trout, depending on where it's at, might be a farm trout, but it's not going to be advertised as a farm trout. And the other part is with the wild as well. There's certain seafoods that are often, you see an Atlantic farm salmon being sold as a West Coast salmon or those types of things to watch out for, and knowing your fishmonger and also building that trust. For us, that's all family owned business as well. I mean, these customers are customers that we see every single week. We get to know them. They're part of our lives, just like we're part of theirs. So it's really huge to have that trust. I think is huge. Knowing who you're buying that from, whether it's from us or from somebody else, just having that trust, building those relationships. What's in the seafood? What type of seafood is this really? Like other things in the world, there are issues where people can take advantage of folks. And that's, I think really what we try to avoid as well is, we want people to know that they're getting what they pay for, that we are here to 100% back that product. I mean, we would never in a million years not guarantee our quality or those types of things as well. But just, asking the fishmonger, where is this caught? When was this caught? Those types of things are really big questions, I guess.
I think
we would never put anything on our customer's plate that we wouldn't put on. Oh, I'm sorry, Gemma, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, I think that's such a interesting thing, because I think nowadays in our world, I mean, there's so many sources for everything, right? So things get a little messy in between as far as how they're labeled and things. So just knowing your source and trusting them, I love that. That is a very secure way to do it, is to know that, yes, if Katie and Eric are probably eating this for dinner tonight too with their daughter Ellie. So I feel confident in that. That's awesome. Cool. You started to a little bit even talk about oysters. There's so much fish. I love cooking. I'm always trying to experiment and whatnot, but I know that a lot of people kind of get stunted by, okay, what am I going to do with this? I know even when I've asked you, when I've been buying different things, okay, what do? I've been directed to your website where you've got a bunch of awesome recipes, or you give me an idea right off the bat. But what are some of your favorite recipes? And then specifically on oysters, how would you recommend cooking them? I just asked you a lot of questions, so feel free to answer however you want.
Well, those are some of my favorite questions because it's about cooking. And really, like, we get so inspired by our customers and what they want to try. And when they're trying new recipes as well, it makes my heart so happy to hear that. And I absolutely love cooking. It is definitely my creative outlet in life after a long day of teaching, which I love teaching as well. But I come home and, get creative in the kitchen. And it's really an amazing thing to put something nutritious on my family's plates and just to try new things. I love it. My mom and my grandma taught me how to cook. My grandma, who is 96, we still talk recipes almost on a daily basis. So cooking is definitely a part of our life and our family. As far as recipes go, we're constantly trying new recipes. We're all about really balance and health and what makes us feel good and fuel our week as we have busy lives. So with recipes, some of my favorites are really just simple recipes. One that I've been trying lately with a cast iron skillet that has been passed down in our family, a brown butter sauce and scallops. It is my new go-to with a little squeeze of lemon at the end. It's amazing. So definitely, simple, real ingredients and quality make a quick, easy, healthy dinner. Sometimes people get intimidated by cooking seafood, but honestly, it is the fastest, healthiest meal you can put on your plate.
I completely agree, right? Because I don't ever want to do too much to the fish because all of the flavors, whether you've got a black cod, which is all oily and delicious all by itself, or the scallops, like you were saying, that are, so many of those fish are so meaty and just have so much flavor by themselves that it's a matter of just knowing how to cook it so that you're cooking it through. And then I completely agree. You've just got a nutritious meal right there.
And as far as oysters go, sometimes, there's this little saying that nothing in life can prepare you for your first raw oyster, right? So it is an experience all in itself. But really, we want to taste the oyster and the beautiful water it comes from. That really comes through in the flavor of the oyster. So we're bringing in different varieties. We love them just on the half shell because they're so fresh and so delicious. We do a meunier sauce with them sometimes. And I love them even grilled with a little fresh Parmesan, a little bit of butter and garlic. I've converted some non-oyster believers with that recipe right there. And that's on our
How long on the grill?
Just a few minutes on the grill. I like to shuck them before, or I just give them to the fishmonger to shuck. It takes care of that.
Perfect.
Yeah, a couple minutes is all it takes on the grill. They're perfect every time. So
no, I'm curious because you say that you also take special orders, and the diversity that you have. I tried branzino the other week for my birthday, and everyone at dinner, I had one, and then it ended up taking it to my mom. So there's like 7 of us and 1 fish. So we were all just like trying like a little bit, but everyone was loving it. And then I've tried the squid and mussels. So I like the diversity of it all. But is there any crazy special orders you've gotten for things that you just haven't ever heard of or is hard to get? I'm just curious.
We bring it, like you were saying, Gemma, and I love that you love variety too. Variety is the spice of life, right? So I love that we're trying all kinds of different seafood. And really, it feeds our bodies, and it's amazing to try new things. I just love that. As far as special orders go, Eric is so great about working with our suppliers and really trying to find those unique orders for, like, if people are doing an awesome family sushi party and they want some hamachi and shimisaba. So he's bringing in really a huge variety for people. And we always want to have it ready to go for them so it's convenient and they can just pick it up and be on their way and head into a special dinner. Yeah. What else would you say as far as special orders?
Well, it does. I think that's kind of something unique about us a little bit as well, is that we do, the ocean is vast. We'll say that. There's 30,000 species of seafood. And like I mentioned earlier, not a lot of people venture outside of those kind of main staples. I have had some, even like this week, for example, we do a lot this time of year around here regionally and things with Dungeness crab, bringing in fresh dungies and those types of things. This week, we have some people interested more on soft shell crab. So, we were able to find some really nice, high quality hotel sized soft shell crab for people. But we've literally had probably the gamut of, of special orders, everything from, I think some of the more unique is like live eel. We've had things, a certain species of rockfish is actually called idiot fish.
Okay.
And a lot of those types of seafoods too, a lot of people get those, they were on a vacation somewhere, like you were mentioning earlier, having that specific type of thing in Florida compared to, so they had those experiences, and a lot of times people are trying to recreate those experiences, right, which is wonderful. A lot of time on those really unique items, they're technically what they call bycatch. So they're a situation where they're not really being fished for targeted, the fishermen aren't actually going out there in order to catch that specific type of fish. But sometimes, depending on what type of fishing they're doing, they bring aboard a ship what they might consider to be like a bycatch, and those are usually those unique special items. So part of our supply chain that's really neat is that we've been working with these guys for so long. They know certain things that we're looking for. And I kind of always have lists on the side of saying, hey, if this becomes available, if you see this, if this becomes available. So we always have those things kind of running along the side with, our weekly selections of kind of our staples and some other things that we're trying to bring in to introduce folks to, that we're always trying to be able to find very unique seafood for people all the time. And we really pride ourselves on that. And we really do the best we can with that as well. It's the seafood industry is also interesting in the fact that, sometimes people go, oh, you couldn't get that this week. And it's not a product that can just be manufactured. And, they actually have to literally catch them. So it's
in it, right? It should be like,
yeah. So it's, frustrating for us as well, because we really want to get that specific thing for that customer, but at the same time we have to be realist in the fact that actually has to be caught, or it has to be located, or it has to be available as well. So but that's a great question, because I can't even begin to tell you all of the unique special orders we've been asked for. A lot of them we've been able to find, and a lot of there's still those elusive seafoods out there that we keep trying to find, and we keep still having trouble finding them, but we just keep on keeping on and try to locate those for those people.
No, you guys are awesome. Well, and I think it's so important too, because even from the nutrition that's coming from the different fish, and I mean, you touched on it before, overfishing one kind of fish is not healthy for that type of fish, and is not healthy for our planet. So really, I mean, I sometimes get zoned in on, I know what I want, but then I look back at your menu and there's so many things that I haven't tried or I haven't had in a while. So I would challenge everyone listening to try something new that they haven't tried.
I love that. And we're always happy to offer suggestions, of course. If people are like, hey, I really enjoy halibut, maybe you'll enjoy Chilean sea bass then. So we kind of know how things have similar aspects about them and different ideas to suggest. So we love doing that.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yes. What Katie mentioned earlier is we would never put anything on somebody else's plate that we wouldn't put on our own. And that's a big part for us as well, is to make sure that we try all of the different types of seafoods that we are selling, because we want to make sure that the quality is there and that these are, good quality products. And so that's a big part of what we do as well, is that we have a saying around our house that we're lucky because we're very picky about our seafood, but we say we sell the best and we eat the rest.
And the rest is really good too.
The rest is really good too, but that's always something that we've always really wanted to make sure that with what we're doing is that we are just making sure that those products, for example, and I don't mean to get off topic, but we have a certain type of hamachi loin that we sell. It's a fairly large loin though. It's a 1 to 2 pound loin each, and for a lot of people, that's a kind of a significant size. But the way that they're packaged, the way that they're presented, they are the best quality hamachi loin that we can find. There's smaller options available, but the quality is not there. So sometimes people go, gosh, it's a big loin. And I say, that while we do completely agree, we have to feel or know that we're selling the best possible product that we can find in that specific type of seafood. So those types of things are really big with us, as well as making sure we're trying everything that we sell.
Shrimp is another excellent example of that. The shrimp we bring in is all wild Pacific caught. Okay. The only ingredient in our shrimp is shrimp. And we've done a ton of trials with shrimp you would find in like a traditional grocery store that's frozen and deveined already. Has different chemical dips that they'll do anywhere from 20 minutes to 120 minutes. And that's not what we do. So we bring in shrimp that is all wild caught and the only ingredient in shrimp. And you can really taste the difference. That's why we do what we do. So we don't want those chemicals in our bodies. We want good quality protein and health.
I think that's such a great point. I've honestly never thought about that. I don't usually buy shrimp at the store anyway, but I remember seeing deveined. I think, what have they done to that poor animal? And I mean, it was probably dead at the time, but still, what have they done to the food that we're going to put in our body for that convenience? Right. Oh goodness, I've never thought about that.
We had a lot of inquiries regarding that as well. And, that's when we were talking about earlier, as far as the difference between, farmed versus wild and fresh versus refreshed and those types of things. The other part is the antibiotics and the other types of things that other places use. A lot of other retail and larger stores, and they do different types of preservative injections and those types of things, because they have their own processing and their own I should call them manufacturing processing plants, where that goes through a different process than an all-natural wild Alaskan seafood would. So there are definitely lots of good questions to ask your fishmonger as far as how they're doing. But like the shrimp is a great example of one of those things where we've been to seafood shows and a lot of research and development to try to come up with what we have found is the best shrimp that we can find. I mean, it's just the quality is bar none comparatively to some of the other seafoods that are out there.
And that's part of the business model as well, where we are 2 days a week for a reason, because we don't have things packaged and, sealed up in things where they need to last a week. That's not how we do things. So we start over fresh every week.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's a great point though for everything, right? If it's able to sit in your fridge for over a week and still be fine, like I bought some things recently, I'm like, oh, it's still fine. That's kind of a red alert that I shouldn't actually be putting it in my body, because what's in it to make it still fine after 2 weeks?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is kind of funny, but even with the whole fish, now I know in some countries, people were really talking about using the whole fish, getting the hamachi, the huge loins, because that's what makes sense, so that you're really using the whole fish. Is there weird parts of the body? I've heard you can eat like the cheeks of the fish, the head of the fish. And I know some of it's cultural, but what are your thoughts, or how do you navigate like when you've got the whole fish? Usually I cut the head off and I get rid of the tail and the cheeks and everything else. But what do you guys do?
We really try to have very close to zero carbon footprint with our business. Like they're having no waste is huge, especially with fish. So we make seafood stock that is fantastic with the fish bones. I save my shrimp shells and those go in seafood stock. And it's so healthy to add that, to when I'm doing a chowder or something like that. So having no waste with the fish, we think really honors fish as well. And there's so many parts that people sometimes discard that are really delicious and healthy, like cheeks, for example. Halibut cheeks are fantastic. Or a fish head, when you broil it and use it for seafood stock, is amazing. So there's a lot of parts that sometimes we don't think of using, but they're definitely a part of our household and really contributing to the meals we create too.
Yeah. And we do have customers, like mentioning, a lot of diversity in our customers as well, where there are those cultural, they're moving here from other parts of the world, and they're used to, not only eating whole fish, but basically all the parts and pieces, like you're mentioning. So we do actually have customers who are specifically looking for They want the king salmon heads, or we call it the trim from different seafoods. I mean, I've had literally, there's been customers who want bloodlines from exotic fish. They do things with that. I've had, this is a fairly recent one, and I've learned something new, or Katie and I, a gentleman who wanted skin he makes potato chips out of ahi tuna skin. Okay. So there's so many different things that you can do with these, not only for, your own self, but for your gardens or for your animals. A lot of times people, with, birds or different types of of animals, that they feed parts and pieces of the seafood to their animals as a really healthy diet for the animals. So like Katie mentioned, for us, we wanted our business to be that sustainability piece and environmentally responsible, not only the fish, but recycling all of our cardboards and using, very minimal, like a mobile business where we literally, we use about 1 tank of gas a week is what our carbon footprints is on our business. And that's important to us. I think that's something that we can feel good about and go, okay, we're doing this as responsibly as we possibly can, I guess, is what we're always trying to accomplish. Yeah. That.
I love that. Is there a recipe for your stock online? Which sounds really silly, but is there?
Coming soon. I'm so excited. I'm working on a whole new batch of like fall and winter recipes. So those will be coming soon. Yes.
And do you guys eat fish skin?
Yes.
Okay. Me too. I love it. And the rest of my family looks at me like 3 heads, and I'm like, let me have the skin. This is so good.
I like it nice and crispy. Yes.
Right? Okay, good. So I'm not crazy. And so I'm curious, you have a whole array of smoked fish as well. And smoked fish, they're probably, the process around that is pretty important to know where that's coming from as well, because I'm sure there's ways of smoking that isn't what we really want to put in our body. Is that right?
Yeah, and we use, the smokehouse we use is a 4th generation smokehouse. It's Ekness Catering, and they are absolutely like pillars of cleanliness and absolutely amazing with smoking fish. So I'll turn it over to Eric too, a little bit about the fish that we do smoke, that we take to them to have smoked on a weekly basis.
Yeah, so we fish weekly. All of our smoked fish goes in weekly. I try to buy some extra fish. We take the fish every Saturday morning and we pick up every Wednesday afternoon.
Okay.
The main parts with our smoked fish is trying to bring a variety of that as well. There's some unique things that Ekness, because of the way in which they smoke and the experience, I think, that they have with the smoke process. Things like halibut, for example, most people try to smoke halibut, it's disintegrated. It's just not, or scallops or things like that it's just, most people cannot accomplish, they can do. So we have always tried to bring in a variety of smoked fishes. You might see, go to the store, you're going to see smoked salmon, but you're not going to see smoked ahi tuna and smoked, smoked trout fillet. Just lots of different types of options that you wouldn't find anywhere else. But there is a difference in the way that things are smoked as well. Like you're saying, as far as Ekness does everything with no MSG, all natural types of spices and those types of things as well. But there's a cold smoke option or a hot smoke option. And when you think about cold smoked fish, that's more along the lines of like lox, like you'd have like lox and bagels and things. The type of smoke that we do is, or the Ekness does, it's a hot smoke. And we've recently, with all the changes with COVID and all those different types of things, we've brought into a new level of, with all of our smoked fish is all now vacuum sealed. Smoked fish is unique in the way, the process in which it's cooked, that when vacuum packed, it can last for a very long time in the refrigerator. Even once they're opened, they can stop the process in which they've been smoked. They're great for travel, and they're great for, just backpacking or going on a hike, and a great protein snack.
School lunch, that's often our lunch around our house.
Charcuterie boards. There's lots of different things you can do with that. But, I think that's a big part of kind of the draw with the smoked fish is that people they like to try all the different options. And it's a transition too with certain types of smoked fish. When we first took over the business, we sell a lot more smoked salmon. And now over time brought in some, started doing like smoked steelheads and things like that, where they're just, a much more kind of a moister, fattier type of smoked fish. So we're starting to do more of that now than we are the salmons, and those types of things kind of start transitioning over time too. And people get those taste preferences and trying new things, and they go, oh, I actually really like this.
Me and the black cod.
So it's smoked butter, we call that one. Yeah.
Exactly.
But it is.
This can't be good for me.
Always try to find those new things that people can enjoy. I mean, black cod is a technically scientific name is sablefish, or a lot of people call it butterfish, but it actually has more omega-3s than salmon. So there's a lot of those different things that a lot of people haven't even tried yet, that they go, once they do, they go, oh my gosh, this is so good. Where's this been all my life?
I love it all. I'm excited. What am I not even knowing to ask you about your processes or fish that you think, in this thought of just empowering people to be their own wellness advocates, really knowing how they're feeding their bodies? Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you'd like to share?
We have touched on a lot. You've had so many great questions for us, Jim. I appreciate it. Just really about, like you brought up that idea of variety. And if you haven't tried something new lately, this is a really good place to do it. We want to make sure that you have good variety and great health, especially in these times of needs. And we pride ourselves on giving our customers the very best experience they can at our mobile seafood business. And we want you to come back and see us. We act as our customers, our business depends on our customers, because it does. And we're so grateful for them. So really, we encourage people to come try something new.
Yes. So we can find you Thursdays in Coeur d'Alene specifically, and Fridays in Moscow. What is your season? Like, when do you go offline for the winter? I don't know that.
Yeah, we start our season right about the middle of March with fresh halibut season. Okay. And then we basically end every season the Thursday and Friday before Christmas. So we do a lot of special orders around that time for crabs and scallop and lobster and those types of seasonal shellfish, especially around the holidays. And I think that's a big part with us as far as with our business. And we kind of touched on it previously as well. But I mean, this is a situation where we literally pick up the seafood Wednesday night into Thursday morning. We sell in Coeur d'Alene Thursday. We're in Friday in Moscow, and we try to forecast to try to our goal is to have enough seafood to last till right when we close in Moscow on Friday nights. We want to have those options available, but at the same time, we don't want to have much more than what we're going to eat throughout the weekend and those types of things too, because it is that no waste. Even our frozen seafood that we have at our fish truck is not fish that we did not sell, that we froze and we're selling to our customers. That's all flash frozen on boats, professionally vac packed seafood. We always want to make sure that people understand that we're a fresh catch business. Wow. And that's why sometimes people come and they say, hey, you don't have any mussels left, and it's 3:00 in the afternoon on Friday in Moscow. And we tell people, this week we might sell out at 3:00 in the afternoon. The next week we go home with mussels. So we always also let people know, a big part of, I always like to let people know, is that we do take special orders weekly. We have literally Yeti coolers that are just for, there's something specific that they really want, and they want to make sure that they put that aside, then they're guaranteed they can have it that way as well. So we don't want people to be disappointed. We want people to have that option that, they might not get off work till later in the evenings or those types of things. So, shoot us a text message, let us know, hey, we're going to be coming, and we'll buy that, and we will have that set aside for you and ready to go for you as well.
You guys are so awesome. That is, because we all have our special meals. For me, it's mussels. I think I have so many great memories, and we love mussels. So for someone's birthday, if we get there and like, there's no mussels, it's like, what's the next plan? So yeah, being able to plan ahead and knowing that you're going to get it. And yeah, you guys are great. So being members of this community, I see you all the time. I feel like I'm creeping because I'm like walking past your house. I'm like, oh, there's Eric and Katie again. Like, we don't live that far away from each other. So you're members of this community. Who else in this world of looking after ourselves holistically inspires you locally?
First and foremost, our customers inspire us locally. They really become dear family and friends and family to us over the years. So They're really our big drive and inspiration. We also get a lot of inspiration from local artists, like Dale Young, for example. He's a stone sculptor, as well as previous fishmonger for the fish folks. So a lot of local artists really inspire us. We believe food is art as well as nutrition. So it's a big inspiration for us. And then our family as well. We love big family events and being able to provide amazing seafood dinners for them too.
Perfect. I love all of that. Well, and so people can find you. Your handle is basically The Fish Folks, plural. So we can find you at your website, www.thefishfolks, or you're on Facebook and Instagram.
And one little social media reminder a week. We send that out, to Facebook, just a new recipe or a little fish inspiration that we've had throughout the week. So, and just a reminder that come see us on Thursdays and in Coeur d'Alene, Fridays in Moscow, and try something new for the week.
Perfect. I love it. Yes, they've got, honestly, their Facebook page is so many ideas and fun pictures of you guys just having fun, rain, shine, and whatever the weather. You're out there, obviously, being out there till Christmas. So,
yeah.
Well, thank you both again for joining me. I really appreciate it.
We feel very, very blessed. We've felt very blessed in this role, and we take this as a large responsibility for in the community and people's health, providing us to join you today as well.
Thank you.
We love what you're doing.
Thank you both. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us today. Katie and Eric truly radiate such kindness and passion for their customers and for bringing fresh fish to North Idaho. I would recommend each of you experience the outdoor fish market fun and let them help you find a taste that suits your preferences and nutritional needs. As I continue this journey of discovery and holistic living, I hope you'll join me as I get to know more awesome and inspiring people in this Inland West region. Please feel free to share, like, and let me know who you'd like to hear in the future. Sending all the love, light, and vibrancy.